Hey guys, Daniel Kazinas here. First thing I'm going to do in this video is change the rear suspension setup. I decided to redo the back section of this, how it jacks up and down, so I'm using an old jockey wheel here. The winch worked, but it was a bit too fiddly. With the jockey wheel I can just wind it up and down and it'll stay there. So I cut a 25mm slot all the way through the outer casing. And then I weld a piece of 25 by 50 box section there so I can get the pivot point higher up on it. And here's me welding it onto the boat in the dark because I can't fit it in the shed. So that's welded on there now. Works pretty good. I fiddled around with getting the angles right, but I just want to make the handle a bit more comfortable. I found these two bearings that slide over here and I tapped this out to a M6. Then I 3D printed this. It actually didn't do a very good job. There's a lump on the side here. Just got a cap screw in there to hold it on. Great. Might 3D print a little cap to press on top of there. 3D printers are just great, aren't they? So I started printing off the cap, but the computer said that it was having a problem with the drawing. I printed it anyway to see what would happen, and it ended out that it sort of tried to join corner to corner and it just snapped the piece off. So I had to redraw it. I drew it a bit differently in Fusion 360, and this time it printed a lot better. So I've tacked up a different muffler. This is a motorbike muffler for road bike, so it should be a bit quieter. And I've just tacked up this exhaust pipe. So now I need to weld it off. So a guy that watches my videos, works next door to me, offered me this motor for $500. It's a 25 horsepower. It's an old Evinrude. I think he said it was late 70s, early 80s. There's a serial number, I can look it up and see how old it is. So he said he's had it running. He also gave me this tank. I just had to fix up a little bit on the nozzle there. So let's fire up and see if she'll run. Okay, this bolt pulled out of here, vibrated out, and there was a bit of thread, so it's pulled the thread out of here. So I could put a longer one in, but this is an Imperial bolt. It's a UNC thread, so I don't have any of those. And also the thread is missing all the way in, so maybe I'll just tap this out and use an M8 metric bolt. But yeah, she starts up. I can't get it to idle yet, so I'll have to play around with it a bit more. So I welded up this aluminium brake pedal here, and then I 3D printed a little linkage arm, took onto there, even wrote some stuff on here, tried to write my name but it didn't print out very good. Alright, got those brakes hooked up so I could just stomp on that for back brakes. Found the cable and I've got a spring on there. And look, back motor, the motor's going to sit there. It's just perfect. Alright, the wheels are up. Looks like this exhaust is perfectly in the wrong spot. And since this is a short shaft motor, I kind of think that's about the right height, or it could even go a bit lower. But the tiller's going to be close to hitting the tyre because I was going to make a big cover up here. So I'm going to have to make this cover very streamlined. I used a piece of 50 by 50 channel, welded those together to essentially make an aluminium 2x4. And I used another piece of that same channel to extend it out from the boat, which worked on one side, but the other side's got like the brake drum in the way, so I had to weld a piece of 6mm plate to it, get around the brake drum. So it takes a few amps to weld the 6mm plate. I'm at right up around 160 amps, and then welded the rest. Then I had to make a hole for where the arm for the drum brake goes through, just so I could get that a bit lower. Cut it out with the jigsaw, put a gusset in there to make it strong again, and then started making the piece to extend the bottom of the boat.
Okay, stop. Hammer time.
So I welded that all off, and then I put the sides on, the pieces that will sit in front of the wheels, just to give it a bit more planing area. Welded the transomy thing on, tacked that in place to see what it all looked like in the end. The plate, it's in. The mounting frame transomy thing is in. Put the motor sitting here. So looking under the boat, this face is actually pointing down a little bit, probably acting as a trim tab. The little tunnel is going to feed. I think that's pretty much the right spot. The motor could probably go a little bit higher. I think this is going to work. I hope it's going to work. So next job is to brace this to here. And I'm going to have to brace this back to here and all sorts to make it strong enough. I realised that I have to make the bottom section of the boat removable so I can get the suspension assembly out. So I had to make some tags and weld them on, and I'll have to remove the whole bottom piece to get the suspension out. Then I decided to make the gussets out of the 6mm plate again, and decided to put some lightning holes in there. This is a bit of a trick an old fella from the mine taught me. Sorry Greg for calling you old, but you drill a little hole on the edge of your cut and it gives the swarf somewhere to go.
That's gonna go there, like that.
I'd like to weld it on and test fit the motor and raise it up and stuff, but it's pouring with rain. So I can't really do that. Take a bit of an opportunity to tell you what I'm going to actually use this thing for. So not far from where I live there's a big harbour, and at high tide it's full of water, low tide it's mud flats. So I'll be able to drive along the mud flats during low tide, cross the channels and go. There's thousands of acres I can go, and there's rivers everywhere and small islands I can check out. So it'd be the perfect vehicle hopefully for exploring these areas. Also you can spare some flounder or something as well, I guess. Yeah, just 3D printed this little cap to put in the gearbox here. Thanks for watching guys, see you next